Okay, so CC, man, I watched if let me just start out by saying if you haven't watched CC's documentary, man, like it's watch it. And I wanted to just talk to you about just the starting out, because I started out, I didn't start out great at basketball, but when you started out, at what point did you start to realize like, this is something that maybe I want to do, just not as a hobby?
I think probably when I was like 13 or 14, I kind of figured out I was a little better than everybody else. I played all sports. I played football, I played soccer, I played basketball. But baseball was just the easiest sport for me. And I came from a city with a lot of great athletes. So when I was younger, I didn't really separate myself from the pack
Mm,
when we were in Little League and stuff. But when we got to about 13 or 14, I was playing with like 16, 17-year-olds, and I was going on the
crazy.
road, doing different things around the country. So when I came back home, I remember my 14-year-old summer. I was like, I felt like I could, make this profession, and I started pursuing it that way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, you definitely did. And so a lot of people may not know about baseball, but people get stuck in the minor leagues for a very, very long time. You were only in there for 2 years. Can you just can you just talk about like what that was like, first even getting the opportunity to be in the minors, and what was that like when you were like, okay, now I'm getting to the stage.
Yeah, you know what? Looking at back at the minor leagues, I was so young. I got drafted when I was 17, turned 18 that July, and it was like a college experience. Like I didn't get to go to college, obviously, but the
Yeah.
minor leagues was like my growing up. Like it was my time to mature and figure out. Like when I left home, I couldn't even wash clothes. Like I
Oh
didn't
my god.
I didn't know how to take care of myself at all. You know what I'm saying? So it was like a wake up call, big time. Getting out on the road and like being a professional and being at the park every day, being like caring for yourself. You know what I'm saying? And,
Yeah.
and actually having a job. Baseball was a job, so yeah, it was just like a learning experience, a time for me to grow up and be away from my mom and my wife, my girlfriend at the time, who was really like taking care of everything I did. So it was just a time for me to grow up in the minor leagues. And like you said, a lot of people spend a lot of time in the
A
minors,
lot.
but I was blessed to be able to kind of pick things up really quick, adjust to the game really fast. And I actually only pitched a year and a half in the minors because the first half of 1 year I was hurt. So I kind of learned pretty quick and got to the big leagues faster than I think anybody expected.
That's crazy. You say that about the laundry. And it made me think of something. Your mom wouldn't let you do anything like cut the grass, nothing. She was like, "Now my baby is going to focus on baseball." And
Yeah,
so, okay, you ended up being you were drafted in the first, you were the 20th
the
overall
20th pick.
pick. Yeah, the 20th overall pick. Can you just talk about like what that feels like? And you also made me think of something else too, just for people to put it in perspective, you didn't go to college. You were only in the minors for a year and a half. So that's basically what a lot of the NBA players do when they're like one and done. So you were
Hmm.
essentially that one and done, drafted 20th. Now you're on the big stage. What is that like?
It was like shell shock, being like the youngest guy. I was always the youngest guy. So when I got drafted, like I said, I was 17. So I go into an A-ball clubhouse, rookie ball clubhouse. I'm the youngest guy. Every team I come up, I'm going on. I'm 17, 18, 19. I'm the youngest guy. I get to the big leagues, I'm the youngest guy. But it was always just like I said, just learning experiences and just trying to get better and figure out what was going to be the best way for me to make this a career. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I was so raw and didn't really have any skill or feel for the game that I was just trying to figure everything out and see if I could make it to the big leagues and stay in the big leagues. It's one thing to get there, but I wanted to make sure that I stayed there and like had a full career. So yeah, it was just me picking everybody's brain, whether it was I remember in Double A, it was this guy Frankie Sanders. I used to just follow him everywhere. When I got to the big leagues, it was Dave Burba and Ellis Burks. I would just follow
Wow.
and just try to learn and listen and figure out how to be a professional because everything was happening so fast.
Yeah, and so you said you were just trying to get there and stay there. You stayed there for a very long time. Is it called the Black Ace Club? I think
Mm-hmm.
where it's, I mean, this is an elite club of people. And I just want to, Black people too, as I just want to say too, that what was it like carrying that weight of, there's not a lot of Black men in baseball. And just with a lot going on, where at the Fox Sports South, we cover like the Negro League
Mm-hmm.
integrating into MLB. What is it like carrying that torch of being one of the few?
It was tough at times, especially being a pitcher
Yeah.
because it was always like Guys like Ken Griffey or, Mudcat Grant. He was the founder of the Black Aces. They would always say, like, you are very rare, and you're a black pitcher. Like, we don't have starting pitchers. There's not a lot of us. So you got to make the most out of this career. So it was always like that pressure of, first of all, winning 20 games to become a Black Ace.
Yeah.
And then really just trying to establish excellence. So, kids behind me could watch. I grew up watching Dave Stewart. My dad was a big Vita Blue fan. They both pitched for the A's. And I just wanted to be that guy, like for one kid that was out there watching, my hat to the side, big baggy pants. And I'm from the hood. Like, you don't see baseball players like me. You know what I'm saying?
Was lit.
I want to make sure that I stayed true to myself and show these kids that, yeah, you can make it to the big leagues and be yourself. You don't have to change.
That is beautiful because you didn't. I mean, throughout your whole career, you had the same look, you rocked things the same way. And so in your career, there was a point where you played for Cleveland. And I bring Cleveland up because Cleveland's a city that, LeBron went there and raised the city up. And you kind of did the same thing in that Cleveland space. Can you just talk about being a big player in a small market? Because it's not a lot of people understand that dynamic of being in a small market and you're a superstar.
Yeah, it was perfect for me. Being so young and then being labeled a superstar, being in Cleveland was perfect because had I been in New York or Atlanta or LA, it wasn't on social media then, but I'll probably been in trouble.
Atlanta, definitely.
So I love Cleveland. It was our second home. 3 of my 4 kids were born there. We owned a house there for 8 years. It was a beautiful place. I really feel blessed to have that place, to be able to grow up there and become a professional and to be able to bring, everything that I learned in Cleveland to New York. Because had I been that young superstar in New York, I don't think it would have worked out the same.
Yeah. Okay, so you brought up New York and you got to wear the famous pinstripes. And I mean, everybody knows what that means. It's almost like I want to equate it to, like, if you're a Yukon Husky, you know what that means. That means that you're a certain level of excellence, and New York was that. So now you've grown up, you've became a pro, you filled it out, and you're in New York. Talk to me about that.
Loved it. It was the perfect landing spot. Having a chance to, in 2007, I won the Cy Young Cleveland, got traded in 2008, had a great playoff run with Milwaukee. And then now I'm ready to step into being, to try to go on a championship run. No better place to come to New York. You got Derek Jeter,
right?
Robbie Cano, you got Alex Rodriguez, you got Teixeira. Like, it made everything so much easier. When I got here, everything just came easy. I could go out, do my small little part on the mound, and everybody else is going to do their part. And we ended up being a really, really good team, really good franchise. So coming here, it just made everything easier.
And going there, you talked about it. You didn't just go there. You went there, you won, and the owners, they weren't shy about talking about how aggressively they went after you. You said it yourself, the Cy Young Award winner. So they went after you aggressively. They threw you the bag. They talked about it. They didn't care, but you delivered. I saw the picture. So I've been a part of a couple parades. I saw the picture of y'all's parade. What is it like? Because New Yorkers, they're just die hard and they're about their team. And so when y'all won, what was it like standing on that? Like, what was it like being there?
It was almost like a dream. I still, like, when I think back to it, it's like a dream. When I see, like, the videos and stuff, and the only thing I can remember is just, like, looking up and, like, as high as you can see, it was people everywhere, paper coming out of the buildings. It was an incredible celebration. It was just so much fun to be a part of it in this city. I mean, you don't know what it is to win as a Yankee until you actually do it in New York. It's a special thing. And Yankee history is the history of baseball. And to be able to be a part of that, have my family a part of that, is amazing.
No, it was beautiful. Like, when I saw it, I'm like, dang, I thought ours was lit, but y'all, I mean, and you was like king on top of the hill. It was crazy.
That was actually a good night. We got to see LeBron was playing that night. He was still in Cleveland. They were playing the Knicks. So we went straight from the parade to the basketball game, to the 40. Like, that was a crazy night.
Oh, snap.
That was one of the best nights ever.
That sounds like it. LeBron and the Knicks, that's crazy. And so you talked about your family a little bit, and I'm going to get into a little bit about the documentary. It's called Under the Grapefruit Tree. And you struggle. So we're talking about all this success, and it's crazy because even the people that were sitting beside you in the locker had no idea what you were going through, and you were battling alcoholism. But
Mm-hmm.
I want to even go back a little bit further, because this is like I think a fear that a lot of people have, that every time something good happens, you almost looking over your shoulder waiting for the bad news to drop. You say that that was basically your life for a certain point. You would win an award, or you'd go to All-Star, and then bad news would happen. How did you even keep yourself like at a high playing level with so much, I would say, tragedy and things going on? Your people didn't even know around you. Like, how do you stay positive? And I'm asking because a lot of people right now in this pandemic, they probably feel pretty low, and you've had a lot of lows but overcame it. How did you stay up?
It was just, I mean, a big part of it was just being able to do what I love to do. So I had baseball. So everything that was going on off the field, when I got those 3 hours on the field, I could just black out, beast out, and be myself, you know? So it was just trying to find something that you love to do that can keep you occupied and can keep you up. But like you said, the good and the bad, that's been my whole life. Like in the doc, you see a little part of it, but I could go back to, I could even go back to as far as, the ninth grade. I got named the starting quarterback as a freshman in the ninth grade. That day, my cousin gets killed. Like, he was robbing a gas station, gets killed. Like, I can go back to 98. I was a senior in high school. I was raised by my grandmother. My mom was like my big sister. She passes away February 1st, 1998. I almost quit baseball. This is the year I get drafted. This is my senior year. I mean, I got so much going on.
That's
And the
crazy.
person that literally raised me passes away. And I was like, I literally quit for 2 weeks. I was like, I'm done. It was the middle of basketball season. I was like, I can't do it. And my mom was there to talk me up, keep me positive, and, make sure that I kept living out that dream for her, because her dream was for me to make it to the big leagues and,
Yeah.
fulfill my career and all of those things. So I had to just keep going on for her. And like I said, I mean, there's so many different examples throughout my life, but it just is what it is. And you got to deal with the pain to get to the light. And, it just makes you a stronger person.
It
I'm
does.
fortunate for the people that I have in my family now, my immediate family, my wife, my 4 kids, my mom. So you just got to be blessed that you have those people still around and cherish and love those people.
Absolutely. And you talk about your mom. I just made me think your mom interviewed you on your own pod recently,
Yeah.
which I think is pretty lit. I'm following the template, and my snook is about to interview me this week because I thought yours was so dope. But you mentioned your wife, and I just like watching the documentary. She's exactly what people talk about, having a strong woman behind you. She was like, anything that I go through, I know that my wife goes through as well. So anything that athletes go through, our families basically go through it with
Mm-hmm.
us. Can you just talk about, like, your wife was going through the highs and the lows with you, and I mean, y'all are still together. She stayed with you through all of that. Just just talk about, you even said, oh, in the documentary, how, stopping for someone else is different than when you want to stop for yourself.
Yeah.
Can you just elaborate on all of that?
Yeah, I think I put her through hell. Obviously, I think the lows for me were probably even lower for her. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? But we're talking about somebody that was literally shooting with me in the gym. Like, when the year she graduated
You
high school,
wasn't with me shooting in the
she
gym. Come
actually
on.
was. The year she graduated high school, she flew out the day after and came to the minor leagues with me. You know what I mean? So,
Wow.
like, we've
Yeah.
literally been together in this career together for 20 something years. You know what I
I
mean?
love
So
that. Yeah.
she's been through the ups and downs, and she never liked me drinking. I drank a lot in high school, and every time, like, I would be around her drinking in high school, she hated it. And I couldn't understand why. I didn't know. I mean, I'm young, so I
Yeah.
felt like
But why
everybody
does
was
she hate it? Yeah, because
she
at a
just
young
didn't
age.
like she didn't like who I turned into, and she
Ah,
could see
okay.
it before anybody else could. I would turn into
Mm.
a different person when I was drinking, and she could see that, and nobody else really saw it at the time. Not till I got to, like, in my mid-20s did people realize, like, damn, he might have a problem. But she saw it in our teens and was always on me about it. So, like I said in the doc, and like you just said, I didn't even really want to stop drinking until 2015. Like, I did all these different things, and
Yeah.
made all these different promises and ruined holidays and all different type of things, and
Mm.
still didn't think I had a problem. Not until I got into that altercation in Toronto. I'm on the balcony smoking weed in
Yeah.
Atlanta,
Atlanta.
and then my kids are getting older.
Yeah.
And I just felt like it was a time for me to make a change. And I want to be around for my family and for my kids. And, you know, having my dad pass away so early, you know, that's always in my mind that I want to be around as long as I can for my kids, for my grandkids. And, you know, that was something I thought about. And, you know, stopping drinking was the number one thing, you know, to keep me healthy and keep me around here.
You know, you talked about just keep staying around as long as you could. You said at a certain point the doctors told you your heart could just stop working if you kept on the path you kept on. Now, me being an athlete, I still can't even fathom what you did. You went to rehab in the on the cusp of playoffs. And
Mm-hmm.
so for me, you know, like that for me as an athlete, it's like that is a different level of strength because I just know the dedication you put in all year, the everything you do all your leads, it's for the playoffs. Can you just talk about that moment, like where you knew like the playoffs are right here, but I have to do something else. Like that's a crazy dynamic. I mean, for it to come to a head right at the point of the biggest point of the season.
Yeah, and I don't know, you know, I don't know if I would have been there if it would have made a difference, you know. But I knew going forward to be there for my teammates, I needed to do this
Mm-hmm.
right now. So you
Yeah.
guys can either have me right now at 75% and not my head all the way in, or you can get me next year and the years after that at 100% back to what I'm capable of doing. And they felt that. My teammates understood it. To the Yankees' credit, you know, the Steinbrenner family, Brian Cashman, everybody top to bottom had my back, supporting me,
Wow.
even down to the fact where the trainer would Stevie Donahue would offer to go to AA meetings with him. You know what I mean? So like
That's
having that
amazing.
support from the best franchise in baseball, it just made you feel like made me feel like I made the right decision. So coming out of rehab a month later, I felt great. And I felt like my teammates had my back and I was ready to move on with my career.
Yeah, and you did. And so you came back. It's a beautiful story. You get to come back and you get to have the proper type of send off. You know, you come back, you still play, but then there's a point where you realize, okay, you actually I think your shoulder got hurt
Mm-hmm.
and you realize that, you know what, this is the only way I was going to leave the mound anyway. Can you just talk about that send off? You talked about it didn't even feel like it was for you, but I mean, it was really cool. They had you on the I mean, it was a really cool. I want everybody to go see the documentary. It's like, I mean, you're what they call like one of those perennial superstars. Like you were a rock star. And so your send-off was the proper send-off that you send someone that has done all the things you've done for the sport.
It was like watching somebody else's. I say that in the doc because I watched A-Rod and I watched Mo and I watched Jeter, and I never felt like I was on their level. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
to be able to have the Yankees honor
You
me and
were, by the way, you were.
to to give me, you know, that day and to have my family out there and you know they read a letter and my mom got to catch the first pitch. Like it was a dream. And I don't think, you know, I never thought about, you know, having that send off when I come here to New York. I was just trying to survive the media and survive
Oh
being a
yeah.
Yankee. You know what I mean? So to
New
be
York
able,
media. Oh my
yeah.
God.
So to be able to have that type of love from the fans and
Yeah.
from the city, from the organization it's a dream. It's a dream come true.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful. And so, but that's not really where your story ended. Also, it was beautiful seeing your kids there. But then you went on to now be, well, actually, let me ask you something because I recently retired and everybody
I've
always
seen
asks
that.
me like
Congratulations. Congratulations.
thank you. And everybody always asks me like, what is retired life like? And I'm like, I just retired. So let me ask you, what is retired life like? How are you enjoying it?
Oh, you're gonna be way more busy now because people
I
understand you got way more time. So everybody's gonna be pulling and tugging, but I really enjoy it. I love it. Playing baseball for 19 years and missing so much with my family, like I'm looking forward to a summer vacation. You know, I haven't had a summer off since 1997. So like having a summer and to be able to travel and watching my son's playing now, you know, it's exciting. So I know, I mean, I'm sure you're excited too to have just
Yeah,
be on your own time. You know what I mean?
definitely.
Like you don't have
Definitely.
to, you can work out when you want to work out. You can do the type of workouts you want
Exactly.
to do.
Yeah,
You
like
know
the
what I'm
fun
saying?
ones, and
Like
you don't have to worry about being in the right shape to be performing.
exactly. Yep.
Like, yes, no, that's everything. And so for me, I really have enjoyed it. But you still stay active with the current players. And so why do you feel it's important to do that? Like just to stay involved in the game?
You know what? I watched Kobe. Like I watched Kobe in his retirement and the effect that he had on so many different players, and I was like, man, I want to be that. Like I've been through
Yeah.
so many ups and downs and so many experiences, good and bad, that I know I can help these kids, and I just want to be a friend. Like, I don't want to be, I don't want to be a super mentor or be all in there,
Yeah.
but I just want to be like, if you need help, I'm here, bro, because I literally been through everything you about to go through. So I reach out to all the guys, whether it's, Frankie Montez or even Jaden Hill down at LSU, right-handed
Really?
pitcher. So I
Yeah.
try to stay in contact with
That's
all these guys
dope.
and build relationships with all these guys so that if they need help at any time, they can hit me up.
I love that. And so there's a group that you're a part of called the Players Alliance,
Mhm.
and the MLB and the MLBPA, they committed $10 million to that. So what is the Players Alliance, and like what are you guys doing?
So the Players Alliance actually the whole group of Black players in baseball. We came together after George Floyd was murdered, and we made a video,
Wow.
and then we stayed connected through text and everything, and thought, what can we do next? Like, we just didn't want to be, go viral and have something on the internet. We wanted to really make a change in our game, and it's tough in baseball. I mean, I don't know if you know the numbers, but I think we make
Mhm.
up like 5 or 6% of the league.
Wow.
So to have all of us together is huge. And to have us, doing it, we started a nonprofit. So Players Alliance is a nonprofit. Our first big event was Pull Up Neighbor, where we stopped at 33 cities from the Bronx all the way. I think we ended in Vegas because California had the COVID restrictions, but we were able to impact the communities. We passed out COVID, PPE stuff.
PPE.
Yeah, we
Yep.
passed out PPE stuff. We passed out food and baseball equipment.
Oh,
And we
that's
plan on, doing more things to change our game top to bottom and get more minorities at the owner level, all the way down to, player level, all the way down to, guys that work, in the clubhouse and stuff.
I love that. So you said it. Are you interested in being at the owner level at a certain point? Like, do you ever want to be in some type of management role, considering you know what it's like on the other side? Have you ever thought about
Um,
that?
I don't want a job though. Like, I don't want to do
I feel you.
I
We
don't
just
want
got
like a
done
job.
working.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to do nothing where I got to be there every day and
I
accountable.
feel you.
Like I'm a special assistant to the GM right now, and it's a perfect job
Oh,
because I can
okay.
go when I want. I can hang out. Like, I can text the guys. If I need to go down to the stadium, I can go down to the stadium. If I go down to spring training, I can go down to spring training. But to have an official role like in the
Yeah.
front office, I may need to wait till my kids are grown. You know what I mean? Like, I think my
No,
wife
I
would
like
kill me if
that.
I go back to work in the summer right now.
And as she should, because like our families basically have to give us up for however long we're playing sports. Because I mean, when you're dedicated to the sports, you're on the road, you're traveling, you're working out. So I get
Mm-hmm.
it. But I mean, you talk about you don't want to have a job, but you kind of have a job when it
Kind
comes to
of though, like.
your podcast. I'm talking about your podcast
Oh
too.
yeah.
So it's not doesn't feel like a job, but it can be considered a job. But you and Ryan Rucco have a podcast. Is it called R2C2, I believe?
R2C2, yeah.
Yeah. And you guys though have been doing it since 2017. So you guys
Mm-hmm.
were like ahead of the curve. Did you see the podcast game like exploding to what it is now?
Oh yeah, I did. Especially because
Wow.
after watching Road Tripping, and those guys doing that, I
Yeah.
was like, this is going to be huge because you get players at a certain point in their career, and when we started it was 2017, so I didn't really care about what I said. You know what I mean? Like and I still
You're
don't.
unfiltered.
I'm unfiltered, super
Yeah.
unfiltered, and I've
I
always
love
been like that. And now people are just getting a chance to see that out of me.
Mhm.
So you get guys at a certain point in their career. It's fun to be able to listen to JJ Redick and
Yeah.
whoever else, all these different podcasts, Draymond Green. Like, we want to hear their opinions. So yeah, I knew absolutely that the podcast game was going to take off after LeBron and Richard Jefferson and all those dudes did road tripping. So I hit up Ryan. I was like, I want to do a podcast, but I want to make it fun. Like, I don't want to bash people. Like, we not those type of guys. You know what I'm saying? We like to
Yeah.
have fun. And me and Ryan actually have a lot in common. It's crazy.
Oh,
Like,
wait, but so how did you just hit him up though? You already knew him. Like, what is
yeah.
that backstory?
So he worked for the Yes Network. When I first
Okay,
got to
yeah.
Cleveland, when I first got to New York in 2009, he did the stats in the booth for the Yes Network. So he would always
Okay.
come down. At that time, I was a Laker fan, so we would always talk about Lakers basketball
Okay.
and different basketball. And then he just kind of kept growing, kept getting bigger, getting bigger. He was doing NBA
He
games
was
and
doing
stuff.
our games. I
He
know him
was
from
doing
doing
the
our
yeah.
WNBA games, NCAA women games. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I know him from the other side. So when I saw that, I'm like, how in the world is CC and
Yeah.
Ryan
It's funny
playing?
because we
It
completely
works.
opposite, but we have a lot in
Yeah.
common, so it makes it a lot of fun.
It works and it's so beautiful. And so you talk about it, you want to be there for your kids who you have a son who's actually really good at baseball. You want to be there for them. What is that like now, being the dad at the games that can go to every game? Like, what is that like? Because now it's a different. You're still connected to the game, but it's a little different.
Yeah, it's fun. It's nerve-wracking though, like watching his games. Now I
Yes.
understand what my mom was going
I got
through.
a 13-year-old. Yes, it's scary because you want them to do so well.
It's not even that you want them to do. I mean, I just assume that he's going to do well. I guess I just don't want it to be his fault if they lose. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like, you just don't want them to feel that pain of like a loss, or if it's actually their fault. You know?
Yeah.
So he plays basketball too, but yeah, I mean, it's fun being able to be that dad. Like basketball games, I go crazy though. Like I'm a huge basketball fan, so I'm yelling at the refs, and I'm that crazy dad.
Oh, you're that dad. You're that dad out there.
Yes,
you're that dad that everybody hears in the gym.
I'm the crazy dad, man. Yeah, for sure.
Well, I'd like you to know that I'm the crazy mom, so I say that without shame, because it's just like, that's my baby. I'm the crazy mom. But just full circle, now that you've had time to retire, and like I'm fresh off of it, and people ask me all the time, like, have you had a chance to look back at your career and see what you have accomplished? I'm like, look, I just retired a week and a half ago. No, I have not.
Not
but
yet.
have you had that chance to do that?
Yeah, I have now, actually, because of the doc. And after watching the doc, I went back and like watched a couple games and different things, and it's weird to me. It just seems like I still think, like, did all of that happen?
You're a superstar.
Yeah, it's so weird though. Like, it's so weird that all of that happened. Like, that ended up with 3,000 strikeouts and the same amount of wins as Bob Gibson. Like, I'm Carson Sabathia from Vallejo, California, from the Crest. Like,
talk that
supposed to happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's such a surreal thing to be able to look back and say I played 19 years in the big leagues. Like, I don't know.
And you didn't just play, CC. Like, I'm like one of these people, I like to let people know, you didn't just play. Like, you shifted a culture, like you were a Black man unapologetically standing on the mound representing these major teams. Even your stint in Milwaukee was like, it was unbelievable what you did. And then you went on to be a Yankee. And so it's just looking at your career, like, do you understand what it did for baseball? You're like Hall of Famer, like that.
I hope so.
No, I'm speaking at you. I'm like, they crazy if they not. We're gonna stage a protest if you're not. But like, what is it like to be that much to a sport that's been here so long, a sport that's predominantly not Black, and then you made your mark. We're still in Black History Month, but what is that like?
That's why I said it's just so surreal. Like, it's not. I really do. Like, sometimes I have to sit back and think, like, did all of that really happen? Like, did I? Am I dreaming? Because it just started so humbly, and what I'm saying, from like, growing up in my grandmother's backyard with my dad and like a big family, and I was the baby of the family, like always picked on. Like, it's just a weird thing to be able to, I don't know, maybe hopefully one day go into the Hall of Fame and like you said, have an impact on the sport, and keep teaching these young kids, and hopefully one day my son gets to further his career. It's just it's really been a blessing to be a baseball player and to be a part of MLB and play for some great organizations.
Okay, so I agree. It's like, because for me, I haven't done that yet. People tell me, and I'm nowhere near your status, but just I haven't done the hindsight.
The look back, yeah.
No, the look back, yeah. But
you're gonna cry for sure.
Oh, I cried when I said I cried already. I think I'm cried out. Like, it's so crazy because it's funny you mentioned that. I didn't have any intentions on crying. Like, I'm not really like that cry type, but when I had to, like, when I let the game go, yes, I was a baby. I boohooed. So I'll probably cry again when I do the look back. But one thing that I recently just did was I had lots of shoes. Okay. I had lots of Kobe's and I saw a picture that you had a lot of shoes throughout your career. Do you even know how many shoes do you own? Like, what do you even have a guess? Man. Like, is there even, can we even guess that?
If I had to guess, if I had to guess, it would probably be over, I bet you I got over 3,500 pairs of shoes. But you got to think I've been on Jordan since 2007. So that's 6 weeks. That's every 6 weeks, boxes of shoes for the last.
It's coming.
You know what I'm saying? For the last 12, 13 years. So
yeah, no, I get it. I was signed with Nike for like 6 years. So it's like they just
constantly send you stuff. Yeah. And I'm not giving away my stuff. Like, I'm a hoarder in that sense. Like, I worked hard for these. I didn't get Georgia until I was in 11th grade. So these is like, I still get excited to get Jordans. Like when those boxes come, I'm still like a little kid. So I'm not giving away none of my shit ever.
Listen, I just put the boxes down there in the storage. So when I say I feel you, I feel you.
Man.
And so question about that, like, do you still get the new ones? Like, are you still with Jordan? They still like send you some goodies?
Yeah. So I got a chance to sign after my career, which is a blessing because normally that doesn't happen. So yeah, I signed a little contract after my career to keep the foundation going and, you know, money coming to the foundation, and I still get my shoes. All I want is shoes. I don't care about no money, no nothing. Just don't. I need my boxes every 6 weeks. That's all I want.
That is so lit. So your contract with your foundation is they'll provide like what
backpack.
Does that
So we do
like?
we do a backpack giveaway for school, and they'll provide the backpacks. We do baseball camps all over the country, and they'll provide like the t-shirts and the shorts and stuff for that. So yeah, I wanted to keep that stuff going. They know I have to pitch in foundation. They know the work that we do. Yeah. So I was able to keep my Jordan contract going through the foundation, which is great. And I get to keep getting my shoes.
Yeah, you keep getting your shoes, and that's lit though. Whenever you do something in Atlanta, let's figure out something to do together, because I love what you're trying to do and get more minorities in baseball.
For sure. Over the All-Star break in July, we're gonna have some stuff going on. So I'll let you know.
Yeah, hit me up, because that's really lit. And so one last thing that I have to ask, what was your like most expensive purchase? Like when you started to get real money and you're like, look, I got it like that now. What was some of the things that you was like, all right, now that I got money, I'm going to get this?
So many different things. All right. So the very first thing I bought like a dummy, I signed a contract in spring training after my first year. And we were in Winter Haven, Florida. I drove straight to Tampa to the Benz dealership and bought an S600, which was so dumb. I'm like 20 years old. I ain't even turned 21 yet.
You ain't got the Benzo.
And I went and got the 600. And I was like, this, put the spree wheels on it and everything. So that was one of my first dumb purchases. Jewelry. I bought so much jewelry. I had this big like chain. It was this big. It was a 52.
Oh my god!
And I don't even know where that thing is today.
I was just gonna say, do you like?
I don't even know where it is. I think I left that thing at a Warriors game one night. Like I was like drinking, and we was in the suite, and I left it. The chain was huge.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah. So yeah, I think that the two of the biggest bad purchases I had was a 600 and that chain.
Oh my God, it's on par. I'll ask a lot of athletes that. A lot of them said the Rolly. A lot of them got, because at that time.
Oh man, so listen, I'm gonna tell you this. My very first, the day I made the team, my very first spring training, I made the team out of spring training, and my dad was there, and I came out to tell him I made the team, and I bought a Rolex. I bought a Presidential. And it was like all iced out diamonds. He was so mad.
It was clean.
It was so clean. But I thought he was going to be excited. He was like, what are you doing? Like, you don't even have money for that. I'm like, what you mean? I just made the team. Like,
that's a good dad. That's a good dad. Because my parents did the same. I had got them a Mercedes car. Like, I had been years in the league. I got a Mercedes SUV. And I'm thinking it's going to be so hype. And I'm so excited. And they're like, what are you doing? Now, you play in the WNBA. Like they had to bring me back to life. Like, you play in the WNBA, baby. You better calm down. But no, I mean, there's no better feeling than giving your parents those gifts, because they're the reason we're there. And CC, listen, I thank you so much for hopping on here on Remotely Renee, because people need to see what they can be. And you're like a walking example of a little black boy, a little black girl playing baseball, softball. That's something that you don't see very often. You are the walking, breathing Hall of Famer that you are. So thank you for joining me on Remotely Renee.
No problem. Thanks for having me. This is awesome.